Hi, it's Mike Stenhouse here, one of the directors of Guildhall Residential Lettings. I wanted to share a presentation I did recently for PIN Manchester, that's the Property Investors Network. Basically because of the fantastic feedback we got at the end of it, which I thought was frankly quite a condensed and rushed overview of a much deeper topic, but because everyone seemed so happy with the content, I thought it was worth going into a bit more detail here and sharing some more insights from it. We started off with a quick overview of our company, Guildhall Residential Lettings. It's not hugely relevant for the purposes of this video, but just to give a brief background, we've been established for around 10 years now with offices in both Preston and Stockport. And we're also members of ARLA, the Association of Regulated Letting Agents, which we're very proud of. Now, as well as running the business for 10 years, we've also been investing in our own property for about the same amount of time. We've done this through typical buy-to-lets, 2-3 bed terraces. We have done HMO properties. We do some property flipping, so buying, adding value and then selling on. And we're also looking at some lease option agreements at the moment as well. And as it says here, we offer an extensive range of services, actually more than any other letting agency I know. And we're constantly evolving and tweaking this to meet the changing needs of our landlord clients. But the main focus of the evening was the subject of farming versus hunting and how that relates to property investing. If you come from a sales background, you're probably already familiar with this concept as it's been around in sales for many years. But at a basic level, if you think of a hunter, they're quite opportunistic. They're going out from one day to the next, not sure if they're going to catch anything, not sure what they're going to catch. And it's quite an aggressive characteristic that you see in hunters. Farming, on the other hand, is a lot more looking to the future, planning ahead and thinking if we put in the groundwork now, preparing the soil, looking after your cattle or whatever that may be, you're going to reap the rewards long into the future. So unlike hunting, where you are living day to day, farming is about extending the benefits of your effort long into the future. And you're probably thinking, how on earth does this concept relate to property investing? But in fact, we would argue that it applies at all stages, whether that's looking for deals, doing the development or renovation work on the properties, or finally letting or selling the properties on if that's what you choose to do. From a deals point of view, the common ways people find deals are through networking events, through direct mail or leafleting campaigns, and through traditional estate agents. It is still possible to get great deals through your high street agents. Now, hunters at networking events are the type of people who run around the room handing out their business cards to everyone, asking for one thing in particular, usually money. They'll go up to one person and say, I found a great deal, I need someone to finance it, have you got any money? That person will say no. They'll move on to the next person. Have you got any money? No. Have you got any money? No. And they'll go around the room and within 5 minutes they'll have exhausted all of the potential contacts in that room. A farmer, on the other hand, isn't going into a networking event looking for something in particular. What they want to do is build long-term relationships with contacts who can help them in the future. And they increase their chances of those contacts helping them by thinking, how can I help this person first? The concept of having to know, like, and trust someone before you want to help them is equally relevant here. And if you're looking for partners, whether that's to give financing to you or to find leads to pass on to you, investing the time in building those relationships and getting to know the person, what motivates them, what they're looking for, will help you so much when it comes to you needing help from them. Similarly, when it comes to direct mail or leafleting, door drops, whatever you want to call it, hunters take this same approach of targeting one area. Maybe they send out 5,000 flyers to a specific postcode area and they get no results. So they think no one there is a motivated seller. And they move on to the next area and send out 5,000 more flyers. And they might do this once a week or once a month, depending on their budget and their goals. And they get to the end of the year and they've had very little response from it. And the reason for this is receiving one piece of marketing through your door isn't enough to trust that person when you are motivated to sell your house and you're thinking, who am I going to pick up the phone to? A much better approach that the farming concept might take would be to repeatedly hit the same area time and time again. Now, you might give them a different message each time, or you might use a different medium each time. Perhaps occasionally you're sending out flyers, you're putting up signs around the area, but it's constantly reinforcing the image of you or your company as the expert, the go-to person, the reliable face. When they need to sell their house, they know that they're going to be picking up the phone to you rather than Joe Blogs who sent them one flyer 9 months ago. And finally, for those who choose to try and find their properties through estate agents, the hunters will take a similar approach again. They'll get a list of all the local agents in the area that they're looking to invest in, and they'll go from one to the next asking the estate agent's favourite question: do you have any repossessions available? Inevitably, the estate agents are going to roll their eyes, say no, we don't have any available, and they'll go on to the next agent, and that agent will tell them the same response, and they'll go through this whole list, get to the end, and these are the type of people that always say there's no properties available in my area. Again, farmers take a long-term approach and they focus on building relationships. Not all estate agents deal with distressed properties, and not all estate agents understand the mentality of what an investor is looking for. So the first thing you've got to do is take the time to find out which agents are going to be able to help you before you waste any time building a relationship with them. Once you find ones that understand what you're trying to achieve and are able to talk the same language as you when it comes to property investments, you need to focus your time on building relationships with these ones. Now, it can be more difficult to build relationships with estate agents because they will often get investors coming in and they often have something that you want and you have very little to give them in return. But there are some things you can do to help you stand out. For example, if you often sell your properties rather than keeping them as buy-to-lets, you can promise to put them through this agent so that you're helping them grow their business and they'll be more inclined to help you. Similarly, if you're in a cash buyer position, or at least you're chain free, this is going to be advantageous to them if they have a buyer who needs to move quickly, and typically it's the buyers who need to move quickly that are willing to sell at a discounted price. So make them aware of your situation and put it across in as good a light as possible. Finally, when they do go to the effort of finding opportunities for you and passing them over, you need to make sure that if it's the right property for you, you complete on it as quickly as possible and with as little hassle as possible. The easier you can make the process for the estate agent, the more likely they are to bring you more opportunities in future. And it's this farming approach when you're looking for deals that makes it easier in the long run to get deals passed over to you. The hunters are always the ones who say it's a bad time to buy, there's no property available. The farmers are the ones sitting there with their systems working for them and bringing leads to them because of the pre-work they've put in. Then once you've found the property, you can apply exactly the same approach to doing the renovation side of things. We all know the type of people looking to save every penny they can, and they'll get 3, 4, 5, even 6 different contractors out to quote for every job on every property. Think about the time involved in that, all for the sake of maybe saving £100 or £200. And of course, money is important, but so is your time. Wouldn't it be better if you had 1 or 2 trusted contractors from each trade who you knew would give you fair prices, even if not the absolute cheapest, and more importantly, you can trust to show up on time and do the work that you've asked them to do? When it comes to materials, if you're anything like me, or certainly the way I used to be, you'll have spent a huge amount of time going around different shops, whether they're kitchen showrooms, DIY superstores, or tile shops, looking for the right product for each project. Again, it's a huge waste of your time. The only person who knows if you've put the same kitchen in the last 5 properties you've renovated is you. The buyers or the tenants aren't going to be interested. As long as it's nice and it's suitable for that property, there's absolutely no reason that once you find something that you're happy with, you shouldn't be using it time and time again. As well as it's saving you time, and probably time in your evenings and weekends, Your contractors are also going to thank you because they're familiar with the materials that you're using on a continuous basis. They'll get quicker and cheaper installing them, and your suppliers are also going to reward you with better prices. And I'm sure we can all agree that surprises are one of the biggest fears we all have when buying any property. Now, hunters are always being surprised because they're living day to day. They might just have finished a 2-bed terrace renovation and then a massive church conversion comes along. So they're thinking, well, the finances look good, I'm going to take a chance on it. With each different style of property or each different location of the country that they're getting involved in, the surprises are going to be different and they're not going to know how to deal with them. Farming, on the other hand, is more about finding what you're good at, where your strengths lie, and sticking with it. Now, if you've just done a 2-bed terrace, the logical thing to do would be to find another 2-bed terrace in a similar area in a similar condition. You've been through it once before, and whilst there will still be surprises, you will be better at handling them because you've most likely seen it before and you'll know how to deal with it. As well as getting better at estimating both your budget and your schedule, making your whole operation more efficient. Now, I'm not suggesting if you go down this route that you can only ever do 2-bedroom terraces, but if you're just getting started, it makes a lot of sense to focus in this way until you get more experience, and then you can take on the bigger and more interesting projects. Now, to complete the loop, once you've found the deals and you've done any renovation works necessary, obviously you either want to let out your property or sell it on, depending on what your goals are. Now, if you're using the same tradesman that you know you can trust to deliver things on time and to the standard that you're happy with, as well as keeping things simple by using similar materials and buying similar styles of properties so you're not getting any surprises, you're obviously going to be able to do the turnaround a lot quicker and get them back on the market. Now, the amount of time it takes you to get a property back on the market is one of the key profitability factors. Obviously you need to buy it well, but the amount of time you have it sitting empty is costing you money. Standardizing the approach by using this farming methodology is going to reduce that time significantly, allowing you to either start earning an income through renting it out or get your finance back by selling it on. Additionally, if you go down the lettings route, you're going to have the added benefit of having a waiting list of tenants, particularly if you take on the approach of buying similar styles of property. If we go back to the example of the person who continuously does 2-bed terraces in the same area, they'll buy one and they'll look to rent it out through an agency like ourselves. Now, we'll maybe get 5 or 6 applications on that property, but obviously only one of them can move in. So that leaves 4 or 5 applicants who are still looking for a 2-bed terrace in that area. And if the same developer or investor comes along in a few weeks with another similar property, same size, same sort of price, we've then got 4 or 5 applications that we can immediately pass on and potentially get a tenant a lot quicker. If that same investor had gone from the 2-bed terrace to the church converting it into 6 bed sits, those potential applicant leads are dead. They're a complete waste of time and they're lost. So it's another advantage of sticking to the same style of property. Finally, if you're not funding it all yourself and you're looking for joint venture partners or access to finance, it's going to help you in that regard as well. Again, using the same example, if you stand up at a networking meeting and say you've just converted 5 2-bed terraces and you've made £15,000 on each one of them, and you say you found your 6th one and you need some cash flow, people are going to be a lot more interested in investing in you because you've got a proven model that works and they know that you're capable of delivering these projects. If, on the other hand, you say you've just converted a 2-bed terrace and you've made £15,000, so now you want to go and buy the church and convert it into 6 bed sits, they're probably going to take a bit more notice and think, well, this guy can maybe convert 2-bed terraces, but what experience has he got of church conversions? And they're going to be a lot less willing to give you that money. Obviously, everyone's different, everyone has different goals and desires, but if you are just starting out, we strongly recommend that this approach is going to give you far more success than going down the hunter approach. Some people like the challenge, some people like to go and do different things every day, but if you're in this to make money, which most people should be, then you should treat it as a business, and the farming approach is going to be far more lucrative in the long run. Whether you want to call it farming or specialization or some other buzzword that suits you, one of the key advantages of this approach is the efficiency of time that it will give you. Now, given we were doing this presentation initially at the Property Investors Networking meeting, we thought it would be worth sharing this quote from their founder, Simon Zucci. Now, he's a very successful property investor, and as you can see here, he's not for managing his own properties. Now, there's two reasons that the most successful property investors don't manage their own portfolio. The first reason is they realize that their time is far more valuable when it is spent sourcing deals and organizing, coordinating the renovation works. The second reason is that, frankly, managing a lettings portfolio is a bit of a crap job, and when it doesn't cost a huge amount to pay someone else to manage your property, why on earth would they do it themselves? After the meeting, a woman stood up who had just launched her own website that connects landlords directly with tenants, and she said that I was wrong, you can manage your property yourself. Now, nowhere in that quote does it suggest you can't, it simply says it's not the best use of your time. Obviously, throughout that process, there are a lot of things you can do yourself, whether it's finding properties or maybe you're inclined to pick up a paintbrush and paint the whole house yourself. But what you'll find time and time again is that the most successful property investors have found ways of, for a relatively low cost, outsourcing the jobs where they don't add any value. And most of these people will agree that painting houses and managing their portfolio is not where they add the most value. So, if you want to be like them and grow your portfolio quickly without the headaches of managing your own properties, then taking this farming approach on board and applying it to every step of the process is going to yield you far better results than the person who decides to do it all themselves.